The doctor refused to listen to me. Even after I was showing him the medical journals, he said that proves nothing. And the more he refused to listen to me, the more angry I got and the louder I got. Until I finally told him if he wasn't even going to listen to me, then he could just leave and find me another doctor. And he mouthed off as he was walking out the door, and so I yelled, "Bye!" I knew this was wrong. I knew that the way that I was being treated was wrong. And so I asked for the charge nurse, and I asked for the director of patient services to come to my room. And both of them did separately. And I recorded both of the conversations with the charge nurse on duty and the director of patient services for the hospital. The patient services director told me that it was the doctor's decision what to do and that he had no control over my care. And the charge nurse told me that they were not going to get another doctor for me. In fact, the doctor who was in charge of my care had decided that I could be discharged. I was absolutely shocked. I clearly had some sort of an infection growing on my face, and the last time that their nurse had taken my blood pressure, it was over 150 over 100. There's no logic in the world that would suggest that I was anywhere close to being dischargeable, other than the fact that the doctor just didn't want to admit that he was wrong and didn't know what to do. I begged them not to do this. I told them I'm allergic to UV rays. The reason that I am here right now is because I had an allergic reaction to the sun, and you are trying to kick me back out into the sun. Do you realize what you are doing? And the charge nurse told me that if I was not gone in 30 minutes, that they were going to have me escorted out by police. I am trying so hard to hold it together for the rest of this video. I knew I couldn't go home. I knew I needed to be in a hospital. And I certainly wasn't in any kind of capacity to drive myself, even though I had driven myself to the hospital and my car was in the parking garage. So I started calling every single person that I knew, every friend, every family member, every family friend. I called people to get the number for other people to call them. I think I called or text at least 20 different people to see if anyone could come and pick me up at the hospital and drive me 10 minutes down the road to the next hospital. And no one came. Not a single person came. I immediately called my insurance company to see if they had the ability to set up an ambulance transfer. And I asked the charge nurse if they would please transfer me via ambulance to another hospital. And her response was, "This is Vanderbilt. We don't send people to other hospitals. Other hospitals send people to us." And then she walked out the door. There was nothing that the insurance company could do. There was no service that they could call or set up, especially on that short of notice. I'm very grateful to the lady at the insurance company, whoever she was, because when she got on the phone with me and she heard what was going on and the conversation between me and the charge nurse, she stayed on the phone with me the entire time when they forced me into a wheelchair and rolled me down to the entrance of the hospital and then forced me into an Uber because I had no other way of going anywhere. And I had to tell the Uber driver to take me 10 minutes down the road to the next hospital emergency room. She stayed on the phone with me until I got to the emergency room and until I felt like I could be handed off to the nurses at the second ER. If she sees this, I don't know who that lady was, but she was such a big help for staying on the phone with me when nobody else came. When I got to the second emergency room, this is what my blood pressure was. And this is what my face looked like. This is what my face looked like when the first hospital signed off on discharging me. There's not a single person in the world that would look at that and think this person is well enough to be sent home. But they did. They took one look at my face and at the biopsy site and told me that it looked like a severe infection. They also thought it was MRSA. It ended up being streptococcus. I spent 4 more days in this hospital on IV antibiotics to treat the streptococcus infection that the first hospital had caused and to get fluids back into me because I was so dehydrated and my blood pressure was so high. And I ended up being on antibiotics for 6 weeks at home after I was discharged. The people at Centennial were amazing. The nurses were wonderful. The doctors were more knowledgeable than Vanderbilt, but they too were completely shocked and appalled at the care that I had received at Vanderbilt. This is probably the most traumatic thing that has ever happened to me. And I was raised in trauma. I survived being R-worded. I survived witnessing a friend drowning when I was only 10 years old. I have survived so much trauma. And this is the event that tops them all. And this is why I advocate. Because I don't want anybody else to go through what I went through.